Conversation is going round. People talking about the colors come to town. Fresh as a summer breeze, she'll take you by surprise.
Good morning and welcome to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Our technical producer is Jason Rumball, and our producer at large is Ivan Harris. We have a great show lined up today. We're going to be talking about decorating with Jolana Pettifer, but before we do, big shout out to Reese's Market and Bakery that's been supporting this show since the dawn of its inception, and we look forward to another wonderful year of support from Reese's Market and Bakery. We're having oatmeal cranberry muffins this morning.
They're delicious.
They are. And Reese's is at 5758 Main Street in Stouffville, by the way, because I know we have a very international audience, and people think, 5758 Main Street, in what town?
Every town has a Main Street.
Exactly. Jolana Pettifer, welcome to another year of Fresh Waves.
Yes, good morning. It's great to be back.
It's nice to have you here. We had a wonderful time last week speaking about Christmas decorations, putting them away, boxing them up properly, and maybe beginning to look at doing some renos now that we see that the space is empty.
Yeah, you know what? It's such a letdown when you take off all those beautiful Christmas decorations.
And the garland.
Yeah,
and
everything. It looks so bare. So there are lots of things you can do if you're not going to be doing a reno, but this is also a time that we find people will sit down because they've had those 2 weeks over the Christmas holidays with family or friends, and they start looking around. Things are looking a little tired, perhaps.
Well, you finally have the chance to relax.
Oh my goodness, it's so true because before Christmas, the lead up to Christmas, nobody has time.
No.
So Christmas comes along, it goes, we're in the new year, and again, we talk about refreshing. So it's a really good time to start thinking which area of the house really needs some attention. So it can be major, it can be minor, but it's a great time to really sit down and go over the things that aren't working for you.
Right. I think it's a good time to take a look just because I have the time to sit around and do look, you know?
Yeah,
But-
so true.
Okay, so we talked briefly about renovations, but today I'd really like to delve into the nitty-gritty of renovations. And you and I have spoken many times about the back work that is involved in doing a renovation. You can't just decide today that tomorrow or next week I'm going to start a reno in my kitchen. It doesn't work. Now, you have a kitchen reno, so we'll use your situation as an example today. However, you are at the benefit of being the expert already, so doing your own kitchen reno, you know what you're looking for. So run us through the process of how you started and when you started with this new project of yours.
Everyone will probably giggle when they hear this because we have been talking about this for probably 2 years. Yeah. So because of timing and being busy, it just did not come to fruition. So finally in June, I sat down and I said, this is it. This is our year. We are actually going to do this.
And
now,
it's a big expense. The kitchen is a big
it
one.
It can be. It depends if you're changing your footprint around. Now, the bonus for our reno is we are not changing anything major. So everything is very, very minor. We're changing flooring. So yes, we had to take out our existing laundry room and powder room as well as the kitchen area. But in terms of having to reroute ducting or plumbing or toilets or whatever else you need to, we were really lucky. So the way I kind of look at it is I did do my homework the first time around. So that way we're not really, again, changing anything that's major. But again, in our case, being the laundry room, the powder room, and the kitchen, those three areas run into each other. So we decided to change the flooring. That's how it all started. And then we started looking at, for example, the kitchen. What works for us? What doesn't work for us? So there's so many things to talk about, from lighting to location of where you put your appliances to do you have enough storage? Are you a baker? Are you a cook? Are you gas? Are you propane? Are you going to go electric? There's so many things to talk about. And really, truly, you need to start the process before you get into the nitty-gritties, keeping in mind that finding a contractor can also take a while.
Right.
It's not something that's going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm. And some of these guys are booked from a year or two in advance.
Absolutely, they are. And contractors are worth their weight in gold, because if you hire a general, he's going to come with an incredible team. What do I mean by that? So usually when you have a contractor, they have a relationship that's been set up with plumbers, tilers, painters, flooring people. So literally that is taken off of your plate. So when you start creating a schedule for your renovation, you are well aware of when decisions have to be made. And if you don't have a general that can give you some kind of a schedule, I always see that could be a problem, because all of a sudden they're calling you, oh, our tiler's coming in 2 days, we need your tiles, where it doesn't happen that quickly. So you really want to make sure that you're very organized. You know what your selections, what are involved in all the selections that you're going to be talking about. And of course, you're going to have a lot of creative time to go through images on the internet. A lot of my clients still love to go through magazines. So, looking for great ideas. And some people want the latest and the greatest. Other clients want to have tried and true means of doing various things. So again, there's so much fun in it. There really is.
Yeah. And if you start the design process, that kind of thinking with a professional, what I've found is I have this idea in my head, and then I speak to you, and that idea changes. And then you and I speak again, and the idea changes even again. And you are able to show me some pictures of what you mean.
Yeah.
And they're things that I would never have thought of, because we all have our specialties.
We do.
And there's people who think, oh, yes, I'm a chemical engineer, so I'm going to be a great renovator. Probably not.
Really. Yeah.
I'm a dentist, so I'm going to design my own kitchen. I have no idea what dentistry and kitchens have in common, except for some of the same tools.
Yeah.
The drill.
And there's so much involved in
There is.
whether it's a laundry room or a kitchen. There's so many decisions that really need to be taken to heart before you sign off on your kitchen plan. So
Right. And when you see a space that works really well, obviously there are personal preferences involved, but by and large, when you see a space that works, I went down to the tour of homes in Cabbagetown.
Nice.
And it was lovely, because we have a friend who has a renovation company down there, and one of their houses had won a design award for a laundry room.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, designing a laundry room, you need me to help you out, because no man can design a laundry room. Well, it turns out that their designer was a woman, and the laundry room was amazing. And
Place
even if
for everything has a place, multi-hooks.
and it looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't know that it won an award, you would still stand in that laundry room and say,
This is
wow,
wonderful.
It's got light. It's got, just where you think something would be, you drop your hand and it's there. It was wonderful. It was spectacular. It's a laundry room, but it was absolutely stunning. Stunning.
Yeah, well, here's a simple one for a laundry room. If there are children or bigger children or just simply adults, a lot of people will look at the locker styles,
Yes.
which are great. And the first thing they'll tell me is they all want drawers. And drawers is a good option. But if you don't have a really big laundry room, where are you going to be putting all your shoes? Like, are you still going to be putting your mittens and your hats in your drawers? Or are you actually going to be needing a place to put your shoes and your boots? So by keeping them open, it allows you to actually keep your main space clear, and then you can have storage up above, whether it's baskets or what have you. You can still have that.
Because most of the new homes have the laundry room, mudroom combination thing happening.
They do. Yeah, they do. So, that is a really simple example. But when we point it out, people go, oh my goodness, I always thought I wanted drawers. But at the end of the day, they don't. Even if you're doing the locker style and you put your hooks on the back, well, now there's hooks available through various different manufacturers where you can have like 3 hooks on one. So, where they fold in together.
Right.
So let's say it's wintertime and you've got a hat and you've got snow pants and you've got your snow jacket. Well, it's great to have your locker system, but if you've only got one hook, that's not really servicing your needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and if it's closed off, they don't dry.
They will not dry properly. So by keeping them open, it's really good. Another thing, we had a client who insisted that they wanted everything painted in the laundry room, including the seat. They didn't want a cushion because they didn't want to have to wash it because, by sitting on it, it's going to get soiled. And I said, you are going to be asking for trouble because as soon as the surface is painted, you get your little jeans that have the little rivets on it and you move backwards and forwards. What do you think is going to happen?
It scratches and scuffs and
it's going to look old really fast.
Yeah.
So by keeping a wood, and it can be any kind of wood, like depending on what your design direction is, it can be a reclaimed looking, it can be walnut, it can be pine. I mean, literally, it can be anything.
Right.
Just remember, a wood can be touched up very simply with like a wood marker. So simple little things, but those are the kinds of things that you need to think about when you are actually planning and designing your space.
And then there's a learning process that says it's a bench so that you can sit down and put your boots on. Do not pile it with stuff.
That's it.
And you can't sit on it.
But you get used to it. You really do. I mean, whenever you change a space, the first couple of weeks you actually hate it because you've been used to the old space. It's like we've talked about color changes on walls. When you first paint a color, the phone call is, oh my gosh, I don't think I can live with this color. I hate the color. Well, I'm never available till the next day for a reason because I know your eye needs to adjust and it needs to live with the color. Yeah. And again, it's the same thing when you're planning. So yes, it's going to be different, but the reason it's going to be different is probably because that space never worked for you in the first place.
Right.
Even things like washers and dryers. You know how you can buy the extra drawer underneath washer and dryer. So that was like a huge thing years and years ago. Everyone had to have them. Well, it turns out it's pretty tall. So if you are doing any kind of a counter up above it, unless you are 6'2" and up, it's going to be very, very tall. So I'm not saying don't do it, but you're almost better off to keep your washers and dryers on the floor level, do your countertop, and then do your storage up above. So again, little things, but boy, do they make a difference.
Yeah, they really do. And there's things like which way the door opens, and that's the same with your refrigerators as well. Which way the door opens in your laundry room. Mine open in a ridiculous fashion where you have to take the stuff out of the laundry machine, then close the door, then move to the dryer. You can't have them open and just toss.
They need to be opening towards each other so that you take it out of the washer
and put it right into the dryer.
Yeah, actually, this is very funny that you bring this up because we're doing a kitchen as we speak.
Yes.
For a client. And we are doing a very, very, very large island, which we're so excited about because the space can accommodate it. And they loved one particular beverage fridge, which had the lights and the wood shelves. And I mean, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, there are certain manufacturers that will only hinge it one way.
Oh my.
So this is where your decision has to be. If you really love, love, love it, you have to understand it is, in this case, hinged on the right, not on the left. So you are always going to be sort of walking around it to get into it. So as simple as a thing like a beverage fridge, you do have to understand that when it comes to any kind of a renovation, the details make the difference. There we go. And don't I say that all the time?
Yep. And it makes it's a huge difference. And you don't think that it's going to be, oh yeah, so I'll walk around, no big deal. Or okay, so the carburetor goes on that side because it would be too much of a pain to change it to the other side. Who cares? And 10 years later, every time you use the carburetor, you're thinking, damn, this is on the wrong side. I wish it was on the other side. And those little niggly things that you have to deal with every day that you kind of wish that you had paid more attention to in the first place. And on the subject of lights, I must say that one of the best things you ever told me was to get dimmers in the kitchen, which I never thought I would ever use.
Yeah.
I use them all the time.
I know.
And I love them. I love them. Yeah. There are mornings when everybody's really tired and it was a long night the night before. I don't want that stark light. I needed a little dimmer until my eyes can get used to it, you know? So you
in fact, I am a huge advocate for dimmers in every single room. I know that sounds crazy, but it is wonderful.
Absolutely love them.
Part of enjoying your space is ambiance. So I know it sounds funny to have mood lighting everywhere in the house, but it really does make the difference.
Yeah.
If you are in your ensuite and you're putting on your makeup in the morning, well, of course you want your lights nice and bright. But if you are, it's now you're just going in, you don't need those lights to be blaring at you. If you want to have a bath, you want to be able to have that ability to dim them and make the space feel so lovely as you light all your candles too.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's really a worthwhile thing. So tell us a little bit about your renovation. You decided in June last year that you were going
That
to
we were
do
actually
it.
doing it. Yeah.
When did it start?
It started January 8th.
Oh, so you didn't go through the Christmas season with a kitchen turned upside down.
No, because we had all the family for Christmas, which was absolutely amazing. We had an incredible time. Kaylee got engaged, so I have to include that as part of our
Congratulations,
excitement.
Kaylee.
And
That's so
Tyler,
nice to
yeah.
hear.
And we had Braden and Brittany come from Winnipeg, so very busy over the holidays. Then we went to Winnipeg for 4 days to visit with Braden and Brittany, and we met Brittany's parents. So we got home on the 6th. Reno started on the 8th. So you figure out what I was doing for 2 days straight.
Okay.
It was crazy.
So what are
Packing
you
everything.
doing for cooking? I know we had a listener when I said I was going to be doing a renovation show, and she sent me a message and said, if your kitchen is out of commission,
Lots of options.
where are you eating?
Oh, super
How can you cook?
easy. Very easy. So you still have a microwave. You have Reesers in town.
Yes, that's true. And meat merchant.
Has truthfully been my lifesaver through the last couple of weeks. But you can also buy the induction plates. So they are a very small option. A lot of people will buy them for cottages that you just plug it in. So you can still boil potatoes, make a soup base. It still gives you that. Toaster oven will be your other favorite friend, because when you go to Reese's and you get the single servings or double servings, you just stick it into your toaster oven and it is like it came out of the oven.
Okay.
We are washing our dishes upstairs in the bathroom, which works fine. We have our system completely figured out and it is awesome.
Now, did you do this on the fly, or did you have this in mind before you did the reno?
No, we kind of knew we had to come up with an option.
And you
right?
don't have little kids in the house. When I did my
Thankfully
first
not.
kitchen reno,
Yeah.
we had little kids in the house, but
Oh,
we
it's
were
difficult. Yeah.
we were able to use a space in the basement that had been roughed in for a kitchen. So we had a
Yes.
sink and we had a fridge
Yeah,
down
which
there.
is awesome.
And
so
then
if you
we
have
did the
that little
toaster oven.
kitchenette, that's beautiful.
And the kids thought it was lots of fun to eat in the playroom.
Yeah, well, there you go. They couldn't understand why they couldn't keep eating there once
What?
the kitchen was done. That makes no sense. And of course, the coffee maker, very important, is
You can plug
readily
that sucker in
available
anywhere.
to everywhere, yeah. So,
You can even put that in the bathroom if you want.
yeah, first thing in the morning, trust me, it's usually 2 cups before our day gets started. So yeah, no, you can make it work with a little bit of planning. And this is part of your planning when you are getting ready for your renovation. Some people will choose to go away on holidays during the demolition part of it.
That's a good idea.
Which is a great idea because it's very hard when you start seeing the dust flying and yeah, but you know what? Everything can get done. Everything can be cleaned up. Everything can get vacuumed and washed down. So it is just part of the renovation cycle. As I tell everyone, you have to break a few eggs to bake a cake.
You sure do.
Right? So the worst of it is for sure the renovation portion of it. Everything else is actually...
Like the demolition, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The demolition portion of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else... most of our clients love to watch the process because some people need to move their plumbing. Some people need to do a completely new lighting layout. Some people want to have under the kick lighting. So some people want lighting now in their cabinetry. Mm-hmm. It's really neat to see how the process starts.
Yeah.
And then, of course, watching it once your demolition has been done, watching it start to come together. So we are in the process of having all our tiles laid at the moment. So that is very, very, very exciting because
It's
really
weird when the space is empty, when it's all
ply. Yeah, it was all
taken
plywood.
away. Yeah.
Oh, and I'll have some before and after pictures. So our walls, you could see all the colors we painted, from the maroon to the green to like the gray wisp. It is funny to see that because we completely forgot about the maroon walls that we had when we very first moved in.
Sometimes it's nice to forget.
is sometimes nice, but it's back. That makes me laugh even more, actually. So,
Well, we all live really busy lives. And as much as we think, oh, I'm going to babysit this project from beginning to end, one of the other reasons that you need a general contractor is because you are not going to be there every day, even though you think you will.
no, and
Life
even
gets
your
in the way.
contractor won't be there every day. Like
Right.
I tell everybody, there is a process of how this happens. So when you are organizing all your trades, everyone is going to have a day or two allotted, or 3, depending on how big the project is. You don't want 3 or 4 people overlapping. So let's
Nope.
say one of the trades gets done a day early. Well, you may have a day where nothing happens, or 2, because that other trade was not scheduled to go in until. We always make sure we have that little bit of a cushion in there, because you do not know. And we have had things come up where it's like, oh, did not expect that. So
And your general contractor takes care of that kind of stuff for you and that scheduling, and he has
Oh,
his guys.
absolutely.
I mean, the
Yeah,
worst thing is
absolutely.
these horror stories you hear about people who don't have a general contractor, and they've got the tile guys coming, and the tile guys have taken on another job and they're not available for 2 weeks, and then the entire schedule that you've made falls apart.
Well, we had something in ours actually happen. So I ordered a tile which came in 2 completely different die lots. When did
Oh,
I
no.
find this out?
When you took them
8
out of the
days
box.
ago.
Yeah.
No, 8 days ago. Luckily, I'm going to give a bit of a shout out to Ontario Tile, because Roberta was wonderful. She caught it. It could have been delivered to my house, and we could have figured it out when Matt was there
Yeah.
getting ready to lay the tile. So luckily went down. We came up with a solution. It's perfect solution, but yes, it can happen. So, and I just look at it. There's a solution to every single problem. There always is. You just have to deal with it head on. You can't, have a meltdown, because that's not
Right.
going to help anything.
And it's
So-
interesting. It's the same in all fields of life, no matter
Oh,
if you're a
absolutely.
construction worker, whether you're construction management, retail management, marketing management. It's all the same concepts. You have your people, you deal with your people, and you build those relationships. If you're doing this all on your own and you don't have a general contractor, you don't
You're
have
in
a
big trouble.
designer.
It's gonna take you a
You
year.
don't have the
Yeah.
the relationship
No.
to fix a problem
No.
like that,
No.
or the relationship to even deal with the people that you need to deal with on a regular basis.
That's right.
They don't
Because
know
what's
you.
going to happen is they are going to be more loyal to the people
their
that give them business
over and
all
over
the
again.
time, right?
Right.
So if you are a homeowner, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that can't help you. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to try in general your own project is very, very difficult. And if you don't have those trade relationships, it's going to get even more difficult.
Right.
Because the frustration level from everybody. So this is all the trades that you are able to get.
Yep.
Everyone is going to get frustrated
Right.
at the pace. And sometimes you hear the stories where, yeah, my reno took a year. Well, when you start listening to the story and why it took a year, sometimes it's not a contractor's fault. Sometimes it is if they're not good. Of course, but yeah, you just want to be prepared. You want to know your ins, your outs,
Right.
and understand what it means.
And
Now-
part of those ins and outs and knowing and understanding are the permits that are required. Some jobs require no permits at all. If
Absolutely.
you're just changing the front fascia of your cupboards and a new countertop, chances are
oh my gosh,
you don't
Yeah,
need
if
a,
you-
a
and the
permit.
rule of thumb is if you are not taking down any walls, if you are not changing the original footprints of where everything is, well, you're not, there's nothing structural going on. So
Right.
the permit is not going to be required.
Right.
Your contractor will tell you if all of a sudden you're having to take down walls and sink I-beams into your ceilings, well, yeah, then you need an architect and you need to have stamped engineered.
Well, for example, a
drawings.
friend of mine in Box Grove, they were doing a kitchen reno. They had everything all planned out. And at the last minute, her husband said, I'm so sick and tired of having cold feet in the kitchen. I want heated floors. Everything had to stop.
Wow.
Everything had to stop because then they needed a building permit. But then it didn't just affect
Yeah,
the
but
kitchen,
that
then it affected the basement. It affected
That
the...
should have been discussed.
He didn't even think about it until they were set to go. And he walked into the kitchen, I think like a week before they were going to demo it, in his bare feet and thought, I want heated floors. If we're going to do this reno,
Yeah.
I want heated floors. Well, what ended up happening, this was several years ago when they wasn't so common to do the heated floors,
Right.
it got tied up with the town of Markham. in their building department and delayed the project for about 4 months. And it was a very frustrating time for everybody because everything had to be canceled. They had tiles in their kitchen, in their family room waiting to be installed. It was really quite something.
Yeah.
But, to avoid those kinds of things, if you have a general contractor and you have a designer, I think the two are really important.
Yeah, they do go nicely hand in hand because quite often a client will say to the contractor, well, what do you think I should do? The contractors will tell you, I can tell you how things should be built. I can tell you what is to code. Please do not ask me what you should be doing design-wise because that's not why you're hiring them.
Oh, that's what Eddie said to me when he was doing construction. He says to me, Mom, I like to design the building. Don't ask me what color the couch should be. I don't care. Anyway, we're going to continue talking about the kitchen reno and renos in general. Note that everything that we're saying about kitchens in particular actually does apply in general terms to all areas of your house.
Oh, absolutely. They do.
Don't just think that this is just applying to a kitchen. Although, chances are you're not going to put your refrigerator in the family room. So anyway, we'll be right back. This is Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. We're speaking with Jolana Pettifer this morning of Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.